Welcome to Grit, the Real Estate Growth Mindset podcast, hosted by Brian Charlesworth, founder of Sisu. Sisu provides growth automation software for real estate. You'll hear stories from real estate thought and technology leaders, team owners, and brokers on how they grew their business in a rapidly changing industry. You'll learn how to transform your brokerage and teams into a high-performing and analytics-driven business so you have a new, durable, competitive advantage against disruption in your market. So let's get right into it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Grit Podcast. I'm Brian Charlesworth. I'm the founder of Sisu, and I'm your host of the show. And today we have our first female on the show, so it's a big honor. Thank you for joining us. We're here with Laurel Starks, and she is the founder and CEO of the Ilumni Institute. She is a recognized expert in family law real estate. She's the author of the book, The House Matters in Divorce. She was also named as an Inman Innovator, and I want to talk more about that and how you got named that. I know that's a big honor. And she's also a writer for multiple publications and also a public speaker around the world. That's a lot of things you've done there. Is there anything I missed, like a professional athlete or anything like that?
I wish. No, I have never run the Ironman. I'm lucky to go get the mail. So yeah, no professional athlete.
Well, that's an awesome intro, and obviously I stole that from your stuff. So I just want to find out, as I did some research on you, Laurel, there's so much about divorce. How did you get so passionate about divorce?
My second listing that I ever took was a divorce listing, and I got into this business. I had been in the airline industry prior to getting into real estate, so I didn't have any kind of legal background. I'm not a lawyer, and I got into real estate, and then I was appointed by the court through a friend of mine who was an attorney to list and sell this house, and it was the War of the Roses. I had a wife who needed to sell the house yesterday, and I had a husband who told me to pound sand, that he was never going to sign any of my paperwork and to never call him again. And yet I had to get this thing sold. So I thought it was a very fascinating niche. As I got more into it, I realized that there was really no education for it. There was no protocol for how to kind of handle it. And yet there was a huge need. I also recognized that there is a broken system out there in the family law world as it pertains to dealing with real estate. And there was a big need for family law attorneys, courts, and litigants to become educated and have somebody who is really versed in their world from our industry to serve it.
Cool. So obviously I left something out of your introduction, which is that you actually do sell real estate. You've done over 180 million in volume. Do you run a team, or are you a solo agent? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I built a team in 2012. I started my business as a solo agent, and then I built my team in 2012. And then I had a team from 2012 to about 2017. And then I dismantled my team, and I went back to being a solo agent so that I could develop the Ilumni Institute and educate the industry. So that means I have two businesses. I currently am a very active real estate, divorce real estate listing agent. So my real estate business focuses on the divorce niche. About 95 to 98% of what I do is divorce real estate. And then I also have the Ilumni Institute.
Okay. So being focused on divorce, I know a lot of people focus on divorce who are focused on investing, the iBuyer type model. Are you doing that as well? Is that part of your real estate business, or just selling real estate to people who are going through a divorce?
I sell the houses in divorce cases. So when two people own a home together and they are getting a divorce, and they can't agree on a realtor, or they need a realtor to list and sell the property, that's where I come in.
Okay, so there are a lot of realtors listening to this, and people who run teams and brokerages as well. How do they get into this niche? Because obviously that's a niche that you're building an entire business off of. If they just wanted to take a section of their business and say, I'm going to hire a couple of people and you're going to focus strictly on this niche. How would they go about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, this is one of those niches where it's very deep and complex. And I highly recommend that people get educated before they really get into the niche, because the legal process that's going on in the sale of a home in a divorce case, it trumps everything. It really governs everything. So if we as realtors show up and we want to focus on getting divorce listings and focus on the divorce niche without knowing the rules of the game, it is like walking onto a soccer field trying to play and you don't even know, where the goal is, and you don't know what the penalties are. So it's very important, first and foremost, for realtors to become educated.
Okay.
That's what the Ilumni Institute is passionate about, is educating realtors so that they can be effective. And then there's really two ways to build it. One way, once you know what you're doing, one way is to maximize your own database. So most of us know people who have gotten divorced if haven't been divorced ourselves, and our database is either going to have people in it that are getting divorced, that are going to get a divorce, or that know people getting a divorce. So realtors need to be the number one person that comes to mind when somebody in their database either is or they know someone who's getting a divorce. And then the other way to build the business is through attorney referral.
Okay, I was going to ask you, so is it attorneys driving the business? Is it the law driving the business? Or is it a husband or wife driving the business? Where does most of your business come from in that?
My business comes from the family law community. It comes from divorce attorneys, and it comes from the courts.
Okay, great. We'll hear more about that. So because you've learned so much about this space, and people like me who have sold real estate but don't really know anything about this, you've created the Ilumni Institute. Tell us about that. Why did you create that? Obviously, people like us need to get educated. So tell us, what is that, and what's the process of going through that, and things like that?
So one of the things that I am very passionate about is the life and the well-being of the family who's going through divorce. And everything we teach, that's really the cornerstone. So when realtors get on a case, or they get assigned a listing, somehow, some way they got a listing that is involved in a divorce, there's a big responsibility that comes with that. And it is important that we are able to successfully and swiftly close them. There can be a lot of toxic environments going on until the house is sold. There can also be a lot of money that is riding on the sale of the house. So it's important that realtors know how to prevent and mitigate the conflict, and how to navigate through these complex listings. Days on market continue to add up. That means that people aren't able to move on with their lives. That means that children are in toxic homes sometimes. And the more that a realtor is, say, unsuccessful at getting a property sold, it can mean attorney's fees, because they've got to go in and have another hearing about getting the property sold, and who are they going to sell it with. Or it can mean more hearings about what offer to accept, or who's going to be responsible for repairs and upkeep of the property, and all of those sorts of things. So understanding that there is a lot at stake in these listings, from the lives of the divorcing litigants and their children, to the money that they need from the sale of the house to rebuild their future. When I got into this, I realized that there was this big, heavy responsibility. I also, to this day, about half the listings I take are as a result of a failed listing. So they had been listed with somebody else who did not know how to handle it, and then the listing expired, or they just became so exasperated with the agent that they replaced the agent, and they brought me on the case.
How did they get a hold of you? What's your marketing to get into people like that?
So I am an asset to family law attorneys. So I work alongside attorneys. I help attorneys understand real estate as it pertains to family law. I help them sometimes craft their orders. So when they need to go and get an order in order to sell the house, there's a lot of language that goes in these court orders, and we need to sometimes help them make sure that they are correct so that we can execute them. There's a lot of information that they're going to want to include in those. And so that is the family law attorneys are really my farm.
Okay. So you're the expert. I listed my house with somebody else. It expires, just in a scenario here.
Mhm.
And now my attorney tells me you need to get with Laurel.
Mhm.
And that's how you're getting these listings. Is that right?
Yeah, so the attorney will oftentimes, I mean, nobody has a unilateral ability to make these decisions. So the attorney might suggest to their client that you need to get with Laurel. They will also speak with opposing counsel and say, you know what, my recommendation is that we bring on an expert to really handle this listing because this case, you know, is high conflict or whatever. And then if opposing side agrees, then they will have me come on. Sometimes they don't agree. Sometimes they say, no, you know, husband has a brother or whatever who wants to list it. And then they'll go before the court. And then the court sometimes makes that decision.
Okay. So you are the expert. How long did it take you to become an expert? And how long would it take somebody today to become an expert? Assuming that, I'm guessing by going through the Ilumni Institute, I can become an expert. I can become certified. I see something here that you are the issuer of the CDRE, which is Certified Divorce Real Estate Expert Credential.
Mhm.
So what does that mean?
Yeah. So it took me, listen, I'm always a student. I'm forever a student. So I will say that anybody who embarks in this is always going to be forever learning. How long did it take me to really feel like I had a handle on it? It probably took me about 5 to 7 years to really feel like I felt rather masterful in identifying the issues in family law, in working with the parties and making sure that I'm able to identify high conflict personalities. I'm able to work as a neutral and really be super effective. So how long will it take someone else? My goal, and all of us, so the Ilumni Institute is made up of not just me, but we've also got a founding faculty of family law attorneys, judges, financial experts, who all came together to create this whole program. And it is our goal that we lop off about 3 to 4 years of that type of learning, so that really within the to become a CDRE, it's a 6-month program.
Okay.
And they will become then a CDRE within 6 months. There, like I said, there's always going to be learning. They're always a student, and we're there to continue to guide and to mentor our agents.
Is that something you do twice a year? Do you do that every month, or how frequently do you do this program? Let's say I'm listening to this podcast today and I decide I'm going to become an expert. This is a market that I would love to have these attorneys feed this business to me, but I realize I need to be an expert for that. So how soon can I get into this training?
Sure. So our next we do it twice a year. And so when one 6-month program ends, we begin another one. And our next one is April 19th. And it starts out by a live course, a live 5-day class here in Southern California. And then it continues online through an apprenticeship online for the remaining 6 months. And then the next one will be in October. So every October and April.
Okay, so the first 5 days, I'm going to be in sunny California. After that, I am going to go online. How frequently, how much of my time is this going to take over the next 6 months for me to decide, is this something I want to become?
Sure. So we have got every month we have what's called a learning lab. If you think about it like 2 tracks, so we have the learning and development piece, which is continuing to become an expert. So how to do fair market valuations is this month, how to do fair market valuations for courts, bias, communication, all of those types of things that goes on for the 6 months. But the other track is also the business development. So once you leave California, then we will be guiding you, and we've got a playbook on how you go and build those relationships with attorneys.
Okay.
So for the 6 months, you are doing alongside, you're doing both, almost like the student athlete. We are continuing to teach you and you learn, but then also you're out in the field and you are meeting attorneys. We prep everything from what you give them to what you say to how you ask for appointments. All of that. It's a very, very specific playbook on how to build a business in this. And so we're right there to guide and coach you every single step of the way as you're out in the field building it. And then you're going to start to get some business. You're going to start, one of our students, she is testifying in court today, and we were working with her over the weekend on getting her report together. And so, we work with our students as they get the business, they get the listings, they get all of that. So it's a very intense 6 months. Most of our students towards the end of the 6 months, they're like, oh my gosh, I need more. So
am I going to have time for anything else if I do this?
Yep. So very good question. We only take experts in real estate to become CDREs. So the requirements at a bare minimum, the requirements are 3 years real estate experience, 45 transactions, and in good standing with your license. So all of our students are in the top 5%. They all have got active businesses. So it's very important to be able to time block this. And we have done a lot of we provide a lot of the assets for our students to use to go deliver to their attorneys. A lot of the, we have the whole marketing system done because we know how busy our students are. And we recommend about 10 hours a week to successfully build the business.
Okay, that's great. That's what I was looking for. So if I want to commit 10 hours a week into this, how many listings might I be able to get, let's say, a year from now? Let's say a year from now, I've become an expert. Give me an example of what kind of business I can expect to get from becoming this expert. Just as far as when I say business, can I expect to get just listings around divorces, which obviously you can talk to this as well, but obviously the husband's going to go buy a home, the wife might go buy a home. So there's additional business opportunities there as well. But what's really the opportunity that sits there for me as a real estate agent or team owner, and that I'm going to say, I want to learn this and I want to go testify in court? That's another question. How often do I have to testify in court? Because maybe that's not something I want to spend my time doing.
So as a CDRE, we are a resource for our attorneys. And what comes along with that is testifying. So it is not going to be helpful for an attorney if they have a realtor on a case who's not willing to testify. That's not helpful, because then you've got wife saying something, you've got husband saying something, and then you don't have that neutral person who's willing to get on the stand. So I would say that
if you do 10 transactions, how many are you going to testify on typically?
I testify on about 20% of my listings.
Okay. Okay,
great. And we also testify on some other things. So we testify on fair market values. I testify to that. We testify on title issues. So it's not just real estate itself, working in a listing, but it's also other pieces where they need a real estate expert to testify. So what can you expect? Well, what I can tell you is that 75% of our students have received an ROI from their investment in the class in 1 year, which is really, when you think about it, pretty unheard of, because Zillow has got, I think it's less than a couple of percent. Farming, doing a geographic farm, it takes about 2 years, according to NAR, to get an ROI from your investment in a neighborhood farm. So in this, we have got fantastic, outstanding results. How many actual pieces of business? That is a number that is going to be tough for me to be able to just quantify. I mean, you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
And we have
as with anything, right?
Absolutely. And so we have got students who have completed, 0. We've got students who have completed 2. We've got students who have completed 10. And this is a long game. This is marathon business building, but the good thing about it is that, when you're working in like Zillow, or depending on online leads, or you're doing open houses, calling expireds, the minute you stop lead generating, your business stops. In this business, you build a reputation and you build an expertise, and then that starts to grow. We call it courtroom viral. Your reputation starts to just mushroom and in the courtroom, because your name is thrown out there all the time, and attorneys are in the hallway with their clients, and a stipulation they've got to make, they got to pick somebody, and they've got another attorney walking down, and they say, hey, do you know a realtor that I could use? Yeah, Laurel Starks, put her name in the stipulation. I mean, that's literally how it works.
So we have Judge Judy and we have testifier Laurel Starks, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So you brought this up. I wasn't going to address this, but you talked about the investment, the ROI. What kind of investment's required to really become an expert here?
Sure. So our 6-month program, it is $5,000 to attend our live 5-day class with our faculty. And then it's $1,500 a month for the remaining 6 months for the apprenticeship. So it's a total of a $14,000 investment.
Okay. Shifting gears a little bit, and it still involves divorce, but the House Matters in Divorce book that you published, I'm guessing that all talks about, I'm guessing that you're targeting, if I'm going through a divorce as a homeowner, that's a book I want to read. Is that right?
Exactly. So the target reader audience for that book is divorcing homeowners, untangling the legal, financial, and emotional ties to the house and divorce. Now, many professionals have read it, lawyers have read it, judges have read it. I've got a couple judges at my local courthouse that practically want to mandate that their clients read it as well. A lot of realtors have read it, divorce financial analysts, lenders, all of that. So there's a lot of good information, even though the audience is the direct consumer. There's a lot of really good information in there.
I'm guessing you give a signed copy to all of your clients who are going through divorce. That
of course, and of course.
Okay. What other advice, Laurel, would you want to give just to anybody thinking about doing this?
Yeah. So, understanding that this is more than just a shiny object. I always know realtors, we love to sort of divert ourselves to what is going to give me the biggest ROI and where am I going to get the next bang for my buck. This is really about purposeful work. It's about meaningful work. It's about taking our real estate skills and applying them to something that's going to make a difference. The family law system is truly in need of realtors who are experts at this and who are versed in this, who can help make the system better. And I would just say that if this is something you feel like is a calling, if it's a passion, if it strikes you, we definitely want to talk to you. And, it is the byproduct is that you build a great business. I mean, you build, I was the number one realtor in my entire region from Palm Springs to Pasadena last year. And then I got the award again this year, focusing on this niche, but that's the byproduct.
Now, was that a KW plaque I saw there?
Yep.
Okay, so you were number one in your region at KW. And which region is that?
The Inland Empire region, and it spans from Pasadena to Palm Springs, a couple 100 miles.
Okay, great.
The byproduct is the business that is built as a result of the passion and the purposeful work. So
okay, so you've got to have a passion for this. You don't just jump in for the money. It's more about have reason to do this. You say there's a shortage. How many realtors or experts out there, and how many are needed? I mean, how big is that shortage?
Yeah, that shortage is, well, our vision and our goal at the Ilumni Institute is to provide the directory that lawyers and judges all over the country use to find realtors to sell houses in all of their cases. So there are 1 million divorces on average a year. 70% of them involve real estate. Not all of those sell. There's a fraction of those that sell. Somewhere I've heard statistics somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 50% of the ones that involve real estate do sell within the first 2 years of a divorce. So there's just a huge need.
So there's 1 million divorces in the US, you're saying, a year?
Correct.
And if I want to find out how many there are in my county, what do I do? How do I find that out?
Yeah, so all of the data for divorce is sort of a little bit rogue and sort of scattered. So each state keeps their own statistics somehow. There's not exactly a reservoir or a database that is broken down by each market that we found. So you can, but there are statistics. Courts keep statistics on it. There's filings, and then there's completed divorces. So those are two different things. You can have a lot of people file for divorce, but then they reconcile. So you can just, I would say, use good old Google and see how many there are in your own market. But it is our vision and our goal that the only people who handle real estate listings in family law cases are CDREs.
Makes sense. Okay, stepping outside of the divorce realm for a minute, what kind of things do you like to do for fun in your personal time?
I like to travel. So I was in the airline industry before I got into this, and I'm an avid traveler. I've been to 6 continents, and my children, my husband and I, our goal when we had kids was to take them to every continent before they graduate high school. So we've done 6. We've not made it to Antarctica yet.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I love it. So do you guys go someplace every year?
We do. So last year, in 2019, my husband and I went to Italy. We stayed in Rome and then the Amalfi Coast in Positano. And then the family, we went to Dubai and to South Africa.
Okay.
That was an amazing, amazing trip. So this year we are going to Mexico. My husband and I are going to Punta Mita, and then we've got a European family trip planned for London, Amsterdam, Germany, Austria, Switzerland.
Great. I did a trip to Dubai actually when I was in the world of franchising, sold a master franchise over there, and had someone, they flew us over there and completely just took care of us for 2 weeks, and we did everything. I mean, they just entertained us the entire time. It was an amazing experience. What's that?
When was it?
That was, it's been about 10 years now.
It's an amazing city. It's probably, it's evolved a lot since you went there. It's kind of like Vegas. It just keeps building,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So they did have the tallest building in the world when I went there. So
yeah, the Burj Al Khalifa.
Yep.
Yeah.
So of all those places you've been, what's your favorite place?
South Africa. Definitely.
Really?
Yeah. South Africa. There's something about it.
How long ago were you there?
So we went last July, and then I had also gone I went in 1995. And then my family, we went last July, and we went to Cape Town. Love Cape Town. And we went on safari at Garanga, which is outside of Kruger. And it was just, it's a magical place. I wish it wasn't so far away.
Okay. So we have some friends who have been telling us they want to go to South Africa. I've heard that it may not be the safest place, but it sounds like I need to contact you and you can schedule our itinerary for us.
I'll send you my itinerary.
Okay. Perfect.
We were very, very safe so long as we stayed within our, where we were, but it was amazing. So I'm happy to share my itinerary. I'm happy to talk travel anytime anyone who wants to talk about travel.
Great. Sounds fabulous. So outside of divorce, what's your favorite book or favorite source of learning?
Oh, my favorite book or my favorite source of learning. I love to read business books. I'm a student of John Maxwell. I'm a student, and then I also like to read things like Oprah has some books, so I try to do some feel good stuff. I tend to not be a fiction person. I just, for whatever reason, I like to read sort of more realistic stuff, and so
you like to read stuff that you're going to learn and grow from, I
guess. Yeah. Right. That's kind of boring, but
I tend to be in that mode as well.
Really?
So,
yeah, I do.
So if anyone wants to hear more about the Ilumni Institute or reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Laurel?
Yeah, so you are welcome to email me, laurel@alumniinstitute.com. You can also go find out more information on our website, which is alumniinstitute.com, ILUMNI institute.com. So it's one L, ILUMNI institute.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. Completely different than most of our shows, and it's been fun to learn about this really niche category in real estate. So we really appreciate you joining us today, and we'll stay in touch when I get ready for that trip to South Africa, okay?
Please do. I've got lots to share. All right, thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you for joining us on our podcast. If you have an interest in a free 7-day trial of Sisu, go to sisu.co, sisu.co. Make sure that you use the coupon code GRIT, that's GRIT, to waive all your setup fees and receive a 10% discount on your subscription. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and want to subscribe, search GRIT, the Real Estate Growth Mindset, on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean. And with that, we'll catch you next time. Take care.